Over the past 10 years, the Fire Emblem Conquest community has done some incredible things. As early as 2016, Cheeky completed the game in just 93 turns. Kirby Master has pushed the world record down to just over 42 minutes on normal mode. Tomo has pushed the Lunatic record down to under 90 minutes. Chess Jump Bowl beat the game with their characters getting 0 stats on every level up, finishing in just 120 turns. Karma finished the game with their characters losing stats with each level. Zoran has been chipping away at his third Train Everyone playthrough, and Septi created a difficulty hack so crazy that she's still the only person to beat it. But if you look at all these challenge runs, there's something that all of them share. The Royal Sisters Camilla and Elise will be some of your most important units. So I was really excited to see Zoran and Septi release videos showcasing the true potential of these characters. But when I sat down to watch these videos, it seemed like they were still talking about the game as if our community hasn't been doing anything to advance our strategies in these past 9 years. Zoran's video has him clearing chapter 13 in just 3 turns. He does this by flying Camilla across the river to eliminate Reyna, the most threatening unit on the map, on the first turn. This is an impressive maneuver, but looking back at what Cheeky accomplished in 2016, the strategy being used isn't much different. Now I can forgive Zoran. He's always been more of an optimizer than an innovator. I mean, just look at his embarrassing attempt to one-up one of my previous clears. But fortunately, Septi was able to take things further. Her masterful routing allowed her to create an entirely new setup that made Elise the star of the show. She cleared the map in just 2 turns, faster than what Zoran claimed to be the absolute lowest that was possible. But something still wasn't sitting right with me. They were framing their clears in the context of a playthrough that's aiming to get the lowest possible turn counts, but the choices they were making in that playthrough aren't all compatible with that playstyle. The first questionable choice was Zoran's usage of Kinshi Knight Elefee. Getting Elefee to this class requires her to build up 11 support points with Mozu over the course of at least 5 maps. That is a difficult thing to do when one of these units doesn't even get recruited. When trying to bring turn counts as low as possible, players typically skip the parts of the game that would be essential in any normal playthrough. Interacting with them just takes up more turns than what's absolutely necessary. So I was surprised to see that Zoran was so out of touch with modern clears that he didn't even realize that these days, Elefee doesn't get recruited. She arrives on turn 4 of chapter 7, and by then, Corrin, her servant, and Silas will have already wiped out every single enemy on the map. Clearing the map this quickly isn't a particularly new development. I can think of at least 3 people who have cleared this map in 3 turns or less, but I suppose I shouldn't expect anything different from Zoran. After all, his idea of a low turn count clear of that chapter takes 4 times as long as the clear that Matt SJ98 did a full year earlier. Fortunately, Septi didn't make a mistake quite this egregious, but some of her choices still seem like they were made all the way back in the first year of this game's release. The main one being Jacob as one of her primary units. While he was incredibly dominant in the game's early meta, in the modern era, you have to accept the unfortunate reality that to really approach the game's lowest possible turn counts, you need to use Felicia. Felicia is one of the weakest units in the game. She actively makes your army worse with her abysmal cooking that lowers stats. Looking at stats after removing class modifiers, you can see her personal strength base is 1, a number comfortably dwarfed by the likes of Sakura and Setsuna. Unlike Jacob, who supplements his damage output by using the high strength Paladin and Great Knight classes, which come in his natural class set in addition to giving him some of the best skills in the game in Elbow Room and Shelter. If you want to minimize your turn counts with Felicia, you need to spend time in the Bone Knight class. This is a reality we can't avoid because lunging from 3 range using a Spyzumi just isn't something that Jacob can do without cheating with the unit logbook. But Felicia can do it as early as chapter 7. This might sound great at first, though for this to actually save turns, Felicia's damage output needs to be enough to kill the enemy, and from her starting point, that is easier said than done. To meet some of the more demanding thresholds, she needs a lot of help with her strength stats, which means you might need to dedicate some extra resources like forges, tonics, pair partners, class changes, and especially experience. But to add insult to injury, Felicia has to spend perhaps the most contested resource in the game. She has to marry Corrin. The fact that you need to burn so many resources on such a thoroughly underwhelming unit to get you through Conquest early game really goes to show just how dominant Camilla's performance is as the game's best unit. With triple the strength, more than triple the defense, and close to double the speed of a Bone Knight Felicia at base, you finally have a carry that can properly clear entire swaths of enemies, not just chipping down a single unit per action with a bow. So naturally, once she becomes available, it's Camilla that dominates the remainder of any low turn count run. But even saying that is really underselling just how much Camilla will contribute to a low turn count run. Because without her, the second best unit in Conquest wouldn't even exist. So who is the second best unit in Conquest? Zoran might lead you to believe that it's Azura, but if you escape his narrow-minded preconceptions of how the game should be played, you'll come to realize that this game's second best unit is actually Camilla. Following Chapter 11, the player gets access to the Anhydra shop. In addition to giving you incredible units like Dua, who Septi and I discussed in our last video, you can buy near identical copies of units in your army. And who better to buy a clone of than Camilla? In most other Fire Emblem games, the biggest downside of your best unit is that they can't exist in two places at once.
Right, is that you can't have Seth in two places at once, so we can't do everything.
But that just isn't true in Fates. And unlike a purchased Azura who loses her ability to sing, almost everything that makes Camilla great will be retained. So let's fix Zoran's mistakes. Let's really show off a task that's fit for Camilla and Camilla alone. Let's clear Conquest Chapter 13 in not 3, not 2, but 1 turn. Conquest Chapter 13 is a route map, meaning that it's not enough to just kill the boss and call it a day. Every single one of these 36 units on the map needs to be killed in just 1 turn. In most other Fire Emblem games, all you need to do in this situation is put your units in range of the enemy's units, and watch as they all attack into you and die on enemy phase. There will of course be a lot of that in this clear, but there's an issue. There are 5 paired up enemies on this map. After the front unit in these pairs attacks, the back unit will be left behind and unable to act until turn 2. In order to clear this map in 1 turn, all 5 of these front units need to be killed on player phase, and they're all on the complete opposite side of the map. In order to reach them, we'll need a lot of our units to fly across the river, but that makes another issue more apparent: Reyna. Reyna is a unit that's made to kill flyers. Believe it or not, Camilla is able to survive getting hit by Reyna, in yet another demonstration of why she is the best unit in the game. But getting your other flyers to survive isn't so easy. With 18 strength, boosted by 3 points from her A rank weapon triangle advantage against any of our lance users, on top of her effective 36 might steal Yumi, any Falcon Knight we fly across the river doesn't stand a chance. Combining this with Certain Blow, Air Superiority, and A rank weapon triangle advantage, she has an effective 191 hits, so dodging her attacks isn't exactly doable at this point either. So this makes her the 6th unit we absolutely need to kill on player phase. And if you couldn't tell, 6 is a whole lot more than the 2 player phase kills that Zoran and Septi got in their first turns. But you'd be surprised by how much you can accomplish if you put your mind to it. Let's get started. Our first move comes from Strategist Corrin using the Entrap Staff on Takumi. This keeps him from threatening my flyers with his effective 150 hits on his Fujin Yumi. Now you may be wondering, how exactly do I have a Strategist Corrin with A rank staves and an Entrap Staff? Getting into Strategist is the easy part. Just marry Felicia and use a partner seal. But how do I get to A rank staves? That's actually also easy. Every time you visit my castle on a unit's birthday, they earn 2 points of weapon experience in every weapon they have access to in their current class. All you've got to do is put Corrin into Strategist and check in once a year for 80 years. And how do you get the Entrap Staff? That's also pretty simple. The Entrap Staff is a renown reward from using multiplayer features in my castle. It's never been easy to build these up, but it is possible. Bring out your second 3DS and your second copy of the game. All you've got to do is connect to your main system's My Castle and do a castle battle. Make sure you leave feedback for the extra battle points. Now just repeat this process 849 times and you will have the 1,700 points required to get the Entrap Staff. But of course, you know you want those boots at 7,000, and especially that battle seal at 9,999. So make sure you don't quit before you get there. But more importantly, this does not require us to spend any turns playing on our main profile. Now back to the clear, Laszlo rescues Azura across the river. Niles uses a second rescue rod on Camilla. And Selena uses a third rescue rod on Silas. Remember, after chapter 10, you can get up to 3 rescue uses in just 1 turn in Museum Melee. Felicia is the next to fly over. She rallies movement for Camilla. This lets Camilla move far enough to kill the first of the paired wyverns. Silas follows her down and gets the second kill. Unfortunately, Felicia is the only unit in position to kill 2 more wyverns this player phase, so she's the unit that Azura sings to. But now we get to see the moment that you've been waiting for. Camilla gets the kill on Reyna. We attack from 2 range to avoid getting counterattacked.
Here goes nothing.
Thanks to the path bonuses, her 10 move allows her to reach this tile without needing to get stung by Azura. Lunging with this kill even gets her in position to kill both a wyvern and bait an attack from Scarlet. Though unfortunately, the unit that will be supporting her to get the Scarlet kill has to be Felicia. First, she kills the 4th paired wyvern. This lets her reach the 5th wyvern while still being able to support Camilla. Elise moves in position to bait the remaining enemies on the map. As we start this enemy phase, now that Reyna is out of the way, her supporting squad of Cavaliers don't pose much of a threat to our rescuers. Even at base, Laszlo and Selena can comfortably dodge and one-shot anything that comes by.
I hope some girls are watching. Let's make this fun.
Time to play. What a fool.
Thanks to the entrap, Takumi doesn't pose a threat to our rescuers anymore. He attacks the only unit in his range.
For North! Ah! Defeated by you? Ugh.
Orochi's Calamity Gate and Elbow Room gives her 13 more effective attack than some of her diviners. It's surprisingly difficult to find a riskless way of taking them on in one turn, especially thanks to the high crit of this attack, but this clear has managed to make it reliable. While you might be confused about why I'm having Silas use his magic stat, remember that the Elbow Room skill boosts his damage using any weapon he has equipped.
Finally!
Even though we're not deploying Odin to take care of this group like Zordon and Septi have, his Grimoire is still hugely important for this clear.
Won't stop me! That went well. Yes.
These Cavaliers using steel weapons instead of bronze weapons turns what should be an advantageous matchup for them into certain death.
That was too easy.
This chapter particularly benefits from training Azura. It would be really hard to get kills like this otherwise, and more importantly, having a trained Azura makes it even easier to train Azura in the future.
You're right where I want you.
Thank you. We can do this.
If you need yet another reason to be convinced of Camilla's dominance, she doesn't even need to switch off her unforged Thunder Tome to get this kill.
Aw.
And now, Scarlet attacks Felicia. Disappointingly, Felicia isn't even able to avoid Scarlet and faces a 16% chance of a lethal crit, but thanks to Camilla's support, she manages to survive and land the killing blow.
I screwed up.
And now that all the named enemies are taken care of, we can watch as the rest of the fodder disposes of themselves. We shouldn't forget that Elise is still an incredibly capable unit. In fact, she's the one with the highest number of kills this chapter. But as good as Elise is, she still can't do everything. Even the best possible Elise can't match the strength, skill, or physical bulk of her sister. But being an inferior version of the best unit in the game isn't too bad. So as you've just seen, the further we push the limits of this game, the more apparent Camilla's dominance over the rest of the field becomes. Her stats are unmatched, her availability is incredible for her level of dominance, and she naturally comes with access to some of the best classes and skills in the entire game. On top of this, her internal level lets her level up faster than the rest of your army, giving her truly game-changing skills so much earlier. And the more you keep looking, the more crazy things you'll find that only Camilla can do. So thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to catch more low turn count clears. My name is Balk, and I am bad at life.